So Stephen D here from Pure 24/7 Radio, and I am joined by Noa Sabi. Hello,
Hi. Hi.
how are you doing?
I am well. Thank you for having me.
And I first met you at Christians in Media conference, which was really cool in Sky HQ. It was ace, wasn't it?
Yes, that was an amazing conference. I learned so much, opened my eyes to so many things I hadn't considered. And obviously, it was a pleasure to meet you and your team.
Excellent. So you're into music, and so how did you get into that?
I think it was a natural process, like many singers in my genre, which is gospel. We grew up in Sunday school, singing in church. So from very young age, maybe 4, 5, or 6, you're singing, you're learning about the gospel and putting that with song. And I think it was a natural progression to, after years of singing in the choir, and learning piano and doing graded piano, to then sort of expand and develop my skills solo. So it was kind of a natural progression from church into composing and then ultimately writing songs and putting them together in my early teens.
Excellent. A question I often like to ask a lot of the artists that I've spoken to is, what sort of music has influenced you? What music do you listen to?
I mean, when I would say when I got baptized, which was around, yeah, my early teens, I listened to a lot of like worship music. So Chris Tomlin, obviously, those kinds of sounds. So I think, the early 2000s worship music was probably what defined much of how I learned to perform. But I would say, in terms of maybe what I like listening to now, is very much, I would say, maybe contemporary gospel music. So it's a wide range of influences. It's hard to pinpoint a specific artist, but I would say my early influences were very much worship music, and now, elevation music, things like that. But I think now it's changing, kind of blending the two, I suppose, as I write my own music.
Excellent. Okay, that's cool. So you've recently released a new single, Fresh Perspective, which is a really cool
Yeah,
song. I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to it.
thank
What
you.
inspired you to write this song?
Okay, this song I actually wrote many years ago, 10 years ago, in fact. And when I wrote it, it was inspired by a sermon that my pastor had given. And much of that was very much about not being afraid to talk about your faith, not being afraid to be honest and open and do it in a loving way, but also not to compromise. That was the biggest element that I took away from the sermon. And I went home and wrote a song about basically the impact of political correctness, or at least trying to be nice and not trying to offend, and how that can negatively impact our capacity to share the message. If we're constantly trying to change it so that it doesn't offend people, we'll be losing the essence of what salvation is really about. So that was what inspired the song, at least the lyrics. And then only recently found a producer that was able to sort of cultivate the sound, the acoustic sound that is characteristic of the song. So really, it's kind of like going back in time, kind of going to a time machine and only having it produced up now. But it's great how it applies to now much more than it did way back in 2013 when I wrote it.
That's amazing. So it's kind of like 10 years in the making. That's really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you want people to kind of take away from that song? What would you want people to sort of appreciate or think about?
I think mostly, I think it can serve twofold. Firstly, for listeners who are already believers, it's supposed to be an encouragement. Don't be afraid to say Jesus. Don't be afraid, even just to say it in conversations. Because I know sometimes as believers, we're so wary, how will people react, that we kind of hold back and change our words. So I think believers, it's supposed to be an encouragement. Don't be afraid. And for those that maybe don't know Christ, I think it's more about introducing them, actually. Introducing them to perhaps something they haven't heard, but doing it in a way that enables them to see that we're not here to judge. Um, we're here to share the message of the gospel, because God cares about the salvation of humanity. That's really it. So depending on the listener, they're supposed to either be motivated or become curious.
Okay, that's cool. I really enjoyed listening to this song, and we will play it on the station, which is excellent. So,
Great, thank you
um,
so much.
what's next for you in terms of music? You've written this song; it's like 10 years
Yes,
in the making. What's
yes.
next for you?
I'm so glad you asked, Stephen. So actually, next Friday, I believe, next week, I have a very short EP coming out called Vessel, which is a body of 3 songs. And it is basically an ode to my journey. Um, Before I knew Christ, getting to know Christ, and finally wanting to live and sing for Christ. So Vessel is really just about being used, being set apart. The early pre-release buzz is already gathering momentum, and I'm really hopeful that whatever walk of life listeners are coming from, in one of the 3 songs, they will find something to relate to. So yeah, that's dropping on the 31st. So yeah, listeners, be encouraged, check it out. It will be on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you stream your music.
Excellent. So, with that in mind, how exactly can people find you, find your music, and listen to it?
Yeah, exactly. So the main streaming platform, or the main way that I interact with people, is through Spotify. Every day they're creating new ways for me to interact with fans, or with people who would like to listen. So it's really through Spotify. I put all my updates there. I put my contact details there. So it's really the central hub of where people can find me. Yeah, that's the main place. Apple Music as well, but I would say Spotify.
Yeah, that's fine. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about how you got into music, some of the musical influences, and your most recent song, and hearing what's coming up next for you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Take care. And I'm so glad we were able to meet at Engage 2025.
It was good. Thank you.
Rated 5 stars by Sorted Magazine's film critic, Pure 247 takes you behind the scenes of the birth of a global Christian radio station. Andy B will have you laughing and crying as you discover what it takes to create ministry that matters in this inspiring tale of perseverance, honesty, and vulnerability. Buckle up and get ready for a story that's uplifting as it is entertaining. Behind the microphone, they face bankruptcy, eviction, and 2 life-changing surgeries. Can they make it? Will they make it? Get your copy of this life-changing book today. Pure 247 is available now on Amazon. Andy B is best described as a man after God's own heart, who insists that God's vision and resourcing trump all handicaps.